me today as we talk about the top 10 most memorable characters from a book. Let's talk about literary characters that had left an indelible mark on the minds and the hearts of the readers. Hello, my name is Bong and welcome to my vlog. This is the 6th vlog and today we're going to talk about books and actually characters that are memorable that we have come across in books. They have left an indelible mark in our hearts and in our minds, and we remember them. But before we go into that, I'd like to ask you how you are doing. This is the 33rd day of the extended quarantine here in Bacolod City. And I pray that wherever you are finding yourself well and healthy and in a good place in your hearts and your minds and your spirits as well. It has started raining here in Bacolod. I don't know if this is going to be the start of the wet season, but I'm glad that it's a respite from the heat and the humidity that has been here the past few weeks. Anyway, let's go into our topic today, which is the top 10 most memorable characters in a book. Here goes. But wait, here are certain categories that I have made when I was making my choice. First, in making my choice of the characters, they're not necessarily the main character. So I did not limit my choice in the protagonist alone. Because I know that there are side characters or supporting characters within the story, within the plot of a novel that are equally memorable. They have left indelible marks with their story and their contribution to the story as well. So that's the first, not necessarily the main character. Number two, they're not necessarily likable in the traditional sense. They're not necessarily always going to be a paragon of virtue, or they're not always going to be likable. But what they have are, a certain depth, a certain complexity in their character. And they may highlight a certain struggle or a certain human condition or a certain aspiration that we can identify with. And so, so it could be an anti-hero. It could be someone who, has a conflict within their characters, a moral conflict of some sort. But just the same, they have left a pretty significant contribution to the story. And number three, I promise you, no spoilers. I will not talk about major plot points, but I will talk about certain characteristics why this particular person has made my list. So there you go. Certain things that I have used as a category in making my choice. So finally, here are the top 10 characters that are memorable for me in a book. Number one is a character in James Clavell's Shogun. The main character is John Blackthorne. He's an Englishman who has found his way into feudal Japan, and it's a story of his adventure, how he survived and how he has thrived in that historical period. But my main character, the character that I love and has left an indelible mark in me, is a character by the name of Lord Yoshi Toranaga. Lord Yoshi Toranaga is one of the many feudal lords that were aspiring to be shogun. Shogun is I think is the ultimate top guy within feudal Japan, and I like his character because he played his desire and his ambition really well. He was scheming, he was powerful, he was enigmatic, but was quite practical, right? So he was like a grand master in playing chess. strategizing in order for him to reach his ultimate goal, and that is, of course, to become shogun. How he did it, how he was able to achieve it, or has he been able to achieve it, and at what cost? It's an interesting story. So yes, my first character is Lord Yoshi Toranaga from James Clavell's Shogun. The second character that I find memorable is Owen Meany. Owen Meany is the main character from John Irving's novel, A Prayer for Owen Meany. Owen Meany is small in stature, but is a giant in his powerful personality and unique characteristics. I really enjoyed getting to know Owen Meany. He possesses a seemingly preternatural wisdom and disposition for a boy his age. He possesses a powerful and personal religious faith. He believes that he will be the instrument of God on earth. He also believes that everything that happens is fated, that his own dreams are prophecies of his future purposes in life. And so it's an interesting discussion of destiny and fate and all of that. It's really, he wrestles with this, and he wrestles with his own sense of freedom and will. And so these are difficult questions that were tackled within this book. It's funny, but it's also powerful and intense in so many ways. That's why John Irving is a favorite of mine. There are so many books that he has written that I love, but Owen Meany particularly. So there you go. That's my second character, Owen Meany from A Prayer for Owen Meany. Number 3, of course, I think I already mentioned in my previous vlog that I love Isabel Allende's The House of the Spirits. And of course, Clara is also a memorable character. Clara is this psychic who is able to interact with the spirit world. Her character seems to soar above and beyond the tragedy and the travails of the family, right? She seems detached from it, even as they go through horrible testings and difficulties in their life. And she seems to be unconcerned with the practical day-to-day business of living, because she often falls into a trance or is involved in some esoteric quests. But do not be fooled by this seemingly passive ethereal quality, because in the end, she holds the center for this family and for their survival. She is the heart and the soul and the spirit, while the clan was able to survive. In some level, of course, she represents the spirit and the mystery and the heart of the nation, of course. The House of the Spirit is the story of Isabel Allende's family in Chile, and the revolution and the struggles that went on there. And so, in some sense, Clara became the focal point, the center point for the survival of their family, but also the survival of the people as well. So Clara is a memorable character, and she is from The House of the Spirit by Isabel Allende. Another character that is memorable to me is Dean Moriarty from Jack Kerouac's On the Road. Dean Moriarty is Neil Cassidy in real person, and of course the other character is Jack Kerouac in as Sal Paradise. It's a story of two friends who have been journeying across America. They represent, in fact, the restless spirits of the youth at the time in the 1950s, and they're searching for meaning and purpose and significance in life. And Neil Cassidy, Dean Moriarty, is is the spirit of that age. He is curious, he's looking for meaning, but he is unshackled from the normal boundaries of morality, in that he is a free spirit, free to search for his meaning and purpose and pleasures in life. And Sal Paradise is his companion, an observant actually of what's going on. And so it's an interesting story of rebels who are actually looking for a cause, for meaning and for purpose in life. In that way is very memorable to me and has left an indelible mark, not only on me but on pop culture as well. So Dean Moriarty, Neil Cassidy Neil Cassidy from On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Another character that has left a memorable space in my heart and my soul is Elie Wiesel in his book Night. It's actually an autobiography of his experience and struggles in the concentration camp. It talks about his struggles about death and God and his faith. And so it was this dark night of the soul that he was going through, and the way that he was seeking answers to his lament and his questions that has resonated with me from that perspective, especially even as we look at our situation right now. And so Elie Wiesel's Night, the main character there, which of course is representing him as a person, is someone whom I will remember for a long time. Elie Wiesel's Night, and of course the narrator who was going through his struggles. Another interesting character for me is from Luwalhati Bautista's Bata Bata Paano Ka Ginawa. And of course the main character is Leia Bustamante. Leia represents the strong Filipina woman that is grappling with the issues of her identity as a Filipino, her identity as a parent, but also her identity as a woman. She is, I think, one of the strongest female characters, one of the most interesting characters that I have read. She represents for me a modern Filipina trying to grasp the issues that she's facing, from the political to social and even in her personal struggles. And I like that she's feisty and she is strong-willed, but she's also a woman who had vulnerabilities. She struggles with the question of her identity as a mother, how effective she is, and as a person. I love that. And so she represents for us the many struggles that Filipino can also face. And so yes, Leia Bustamante from Luwalhati Bautista's Bata Bata Paano Ka Ginawa. Number 7 is, of course, Samwise Gamgee from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yes, of course, Frodo is the main character, as I've told you. But I will not be choosing the main character, but instead I will focus on Samwise Gamgee. Samwise Gamgee is actually the spirit and the soul of that trilogy, of that adventure. He was the one that was full of positive energy. He was the one who was on the go, and he was the one who was really, on the heart in order for the adventure to continue, in order for them to fulfill their mission. Right at the darkest moments, it was Samwise who was giving perspective. It was Samwise who was giving encouragement, and so he is, in all accounts, a main character as well. So yes, number 7 is Samwise Gamgee from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Number 8 is Florentino Ariza from Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. When I first read this novel, I was doing my doctoral studies and I had a lot of reading assignments. I was reading about 600 pages a week, and so I had to strictly follow my schedules of reading. But when I got hold of the novel, everything was just forgotten. I was caught in a fever-like trance as I read this novel, and of course the main character of Florentino caught my attention hook, line, and sinker. He grabbed hold of my heart and never let go until the last words when the book ended. So Florentino is this enigmatic lover who was desperate and romantic, and who was passionate with his love and his pursuit for the love of his life. So Florentino Ariza has left an indelible mark in my heart and in my mind, and he is a character from Love in the Time of Cholera. Number 9 is Jose Rizal's No Limitang and El Filibusterismo, and the main character there of course is Crisostomo Ibarra / Simeon. In the first book, No Limitang, he is this idealistic, educated man of the world who is a Filipino who just came from Europe in his studies there, and he has these ideas of how to make society better. And then he is of course confronted by the harsh realities of Philippine society under the Spanish rules, and then his transformation into this jaded, angry man in El Filibusterismo. And so he's one of the most, I think, memorable characters in the Filipino literature, but of course not just Filipino literature but in world literature as well. Crisostomo Ibarra / Simeon is my number 9 most memorable character in a book. And lastly, character number 10 is from Frederick Buechner's The Book of Beb, Leo Beb. Leo Beb is actually a character of Buechner's 4 novels, but they've already converted into one novel and they have called it The Book of Beb. Leo Beb is a charlatan. He's a pastor, he's a con man, but he is also a deeply conflicted man. It's a funny book with a lot of quirky characters, and of course Leo Beb stands out. I think it brings into mind the many realities and the paradoxes that can be found within the church, and Leo Beb is of course one of them. He is he is this conflicted man, but he brings into question a lot of assumptions and things that we have come to assume in the church, and how God's plan and redemption and holiness is set forth. So he's a very memorable character in that way. Buechner is an unusual writer. He's a Christian. He's also a novelist, but he doesn't just write about typical one-dimensional characters, but he sketches these characters that are multifaceted, and so Leo Beb is one of them. I think this is one of his most fully realized characters, and if you haven't read it, it's not a very common book to find, but if you can find it, The Book of Beb, I would highly recommend. So that's number 10. So there you go. That's my top 10 most memorable characters in a book. This is not a definitive list. Let me tell you, of course, there are many characters that are memorable. There are many characters that are interesting, and I may not have mentioned it. I've read a lot of books and I can't remember all of them. But tell me about a character that you have read that you have never forgotten. A character that has left a mark in your hearts and in your soul, and even up to now you go back to that person because maybe he represents a certain ideal, a certain struggle, or a certain aspiration that you may have. So tell me about it. Thank you so much for paying attention and for listening and for watching my vlog. I'd like to encourage you to please share this vlog to your friends, encourage them to like, and encourage them to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. I hope to see all of you soon. God bless you. Keep safe while this quarantine and while this virus is still running rampant. I pray that you will continue to look up to the Lord for refuge and strength, for He is our very present help in days of troubles. God bless you all, and thank you and goodbye.